That's Mungo Jerry and Long-Legged Woman Dressed in Black. Long title. Now, a lot of people suffer from back pain of all different types, and how to treat it and avoid it, I guess, are the issues that spring to mind. I'm delighted to welcome Oliver Eaton from ProHealth Clinic, and Oliver is a qualified and registered osteopath. Oliver, thank you very much for your time, and good morning.
No problem. It's good to be on the radio.
Now, how common is back pain in the UK? Everybody seems, you talk to people, most people say, I've had it, this and that. How common is it?
Yeah, it is very common, and it's the biggest burden on in terms of health-wise on the NHS. We've got, it's the most presented presentation to a GP on a daily basis, and it costs the economy over £300 million a year, and it's increasing on every year. I think our sedentary lifestyles now, it's very much a 21st century issue, especially being a lot of desk-bound jobs these days. It just leaves a lot of people vulnerable to picking up low back issues here and there.
Does it reflect, you put out a sedentary lifestyle, does it reflect how many of us are overweight for one reason or another?
It can be, yes, yeah, and I think sedentary lifestyles do have an influence on that as well. Yeah. But a lot of the time, it's a lack of mobility. Really, I do see a lot of people who are overweight, but yet they're still very fit and they can hold themselves upright. But I think it's more of a lack of mobility over and above weight gain, really. But yes, overweight and obesity does play a factor in it.
What's the causes of it? I suppose sometimes it's sedentary lifestyle, old age. But what are the major causes when people do get back pain?
Yeah, a lot of the time what happens is, I think, if someone's been sat at their desk for 8 hours a day for 5 days in the week, and then they go out at the weekend, clear their shed out, because that back, it's not used to moving in that way. So I think it's almost a bit of a shock to the body. A lot of low back issues I see are caused from things that they do at the weekend that their body just hasn't been prepared for due to that sedentary lifestyle throughout the week. So I mean, a lot of the time it's things like picking things up, twisting the wrong way, and often people can get quite complacent, especially if they haven't had back pain before. It just takes one wrong move and that's it. The back's put out of line, or they've pulled a muscle. So yeah.
Do we not treat it as serious as we should? Because I've had back pain a long time ago, and it is incredibly painful. Do we not treat it as carefully and as seriously as we should do?
I don't think so. I mean, especially men, I see a lot of the time, when men come to see me, probably 50% of the time it's because their wives have pushed them into the clinic.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and I think we often, because especially with our busy lifestyles as well, we try and put off going to get it checked out, which actually can be very dangerous, because the postures we adopt to avoid the back pain in the first place can actually cause a whole new set of symptoms and leave you vulnerable to picking things worse symptoms up later on in life, and it can affect things right the way up to the head as well. Often people get headaches, and actually it stemmed from a low back issue several years ago. So it is very, very important to be aware of our bodies, I think, and that is the main thing when it comes to low back pain. But yeah, you are right. We don't take it as seriously as it should do, and it's especially with people who are self-employed. It's until they get low back pain and they start missing a few days and they realise it's affecting them financially. That's when people really start to take it seriously.
Carrying on from that, do we have a tendency just to take painkillers and I'm going to soldier on, but ignore it, don't get it investigated as quickly as we should do? Yeah.
I mean, it's a common problem. This British culture, we need a quick fix. We've got these busy lifestyles. We don't want anything to get in the way of it. But actually, that can long term cause issues. I see a lot of patients that have had proper stomach issues and acid reflux and real gut issues that are caused from long term consumption of painkillers. And I see a lot of people. I put the analogy on it. They spend more money on their cars and servicing their cars than they do their own bodies and their backs, but actually don't realise long term, if you invest money into looking after your lower back, actually you won't end up having to take these painkillers and causing long term issues.
What is the treatment that's available now? I think if you go to your GP and you complain of having lower back problems, what is the treatment that you would expect them to recommend?
Yeah, normally they would recommend a course of physiotherapy, and but unfortunately sometimes with the physiotherapy, because we've such a burden on the NHS now, people don't get the care and attention that they need.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be referred to for a scan, depending how bad it is. But the problem is, though, because of the waiting list on the NHS, and as I said earlier about the posture people adopt to avoid pain, actually that 10 to 12-week wait you've had to wait for the physiotherapist to address your low back pain, you've actually caused a whole new set of symptoms because you've been limping from it for a while. So, it's my advice would be to get it seen to as soon as possible, whether that's a physiotherapist, a private physiotherapist, an osteopath or a chiropractor, even just to get it looked at for an assessment. And even if you haven't got much money, just having the assessment and just knowing what's wrong. We've got a great ability, with the internet now. We can go and be proactive in looking after ourselves and looking at ways in which to help ourselves. Even if it's just a few stretches, that can often save you a lot more grief if you wait 12 weeks for an NHS physio sometimes.
I mean, I use physiotherapists because I exercise and try and keep myself fit, and I do find it that if you leave it for whatever reason, the quicker you go, usually the quicker and the better the result.
Most definitely, yes. And even just getting the advice, because sometimes, not knowing, if you've not had back pain before, you've acquired an injury in the low back, and the psychological and emotional effect of not knowing what's wrong can actually stress you out a lot. So just going to see someone and them putting your mind at ease, that actually telling you that it's not as bad as you think it is, because the problem with Dr. Google now, we go on the internet and it makes us feel
don't go
weird,
there. Terrible thing that.
Yeah.
Who suffers the most? I'm always reluctant to ask this question, but who suffers the most, men or women?
A lot of the time it's men, because their backs stiffen up quite quickly, but it all depends on what age group, really. I mean, a lot of women, it's childbirth that can cause a few issues sometimes, but predominantly it's men, because they stiffen up more, and stiff muscles don't, and the low back, they don't go well together. So and more so, women tend to be much more aware of their bodies, and they don't put things off like men do.
They don't. Absolutely right. That. I mean, in terms of, do you get a lot of people we get a lot of people go to the gym, but they don't start till very late in life, and they don't take advice. They just get a tracksuit on and they go. You must get a lot of people come just because they don't know really what they're doing.
Yeah, and this is one of the problems, especially with classes these days, and because people are very busy. They try and fit some of these high-intensity classes right at the start of the day, when they've been asleep and lying in one position for 8 hours, and they jump straight into a class. And if, depending on how packed the class is, you're not going to get the needed attention from the personal trainer or the lady or man who's taking the class, and really need that knowledge first off. Actually, the importance of stretching, the importance of how to exercise, and gradually building it up. Really, we can get quite enthusiastic when we start to see results, and especially when we've got things like these Fitbits these days. We're always trying to better ourselves and get. But actually, it's steady pace wins the race when it comes to looking after yourself and just building up the strength gradually.
Is this something we should be educating, even quite young people about, to get them in the disciplines of respecting the back and, knowing when you're putting it at risk and knowing how to make sure it's ready to exercise and ready to be strained?
Yeah, most definitely, and I'm seeing now, I'm forecasting a bit of an epidemic with back pain and especially neck pain sometimes with kids now, because they're sat 6 hours a day, heads down writing, and then a lot of the boys in particular, they go straight home and play on these video games. And they're hunched forward, so there definitely needs to be some education really in it, because it can back pain. The back looks after all the organs that it holds up as well. So I think it should be very much a big part. Even things like yoga and Pilates should be taught in schools. So I think it's very, very important.
I think you're based in High Street in London, so are you seeing an increase in people coming with lower back pain, or are we winning the argument?
I think we are seeing the people, more so. I think because of that, the waiting list on the NHS sometimes, and also I think it's a lack of education really, and I think that's the core core reason I think people aren't coming to see me more, because there is a lack of education, and I think even there needs to be some guidelines that are given out routinely by the GPs to help not only reduce someone's pain but actually prevent a further episode. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Once someone gets low back once, they don't think they're really fully equipped with things to do and things that they can do at home to prevent it coming back, and that's going to save the NHS a lot of money in the long run.
Oliver, lovely to talk to you. I think it's a problem that's not going to go away very quickly, unfortunately, with lifestyles that we live. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's Mungo Jerry and Long-Legged Woman Dressed in Black. Long title. Now, a lot of people suffer from back pain of all different types, and how to treat it and avoid it, I guess, are the issues that spring to mind. I'm delighted to welcome Oliver Eaton from ProHealth Clinic, and Oliver is a qualified and registered osteopath. Oliver, thank you very much for your time and good morning.
No problem. It's good to be on.